In the wild, chaotic worlds of Indian politics, there are few characters quite as big, as influential, or as controversial as Lalu Prasad Yadav. You see, his story, it isn't just about one man. It's really the story of an entire state, Bihar, and all its deep-seated fractures and its incredible seismic revolutions. And this quote? It's everything. It's the key to understanding him. He knew better than almost anyone that you don't just ask for power. You have to go out and take it. You have to shake the very foundations of the old world. And he did it by tapping into centuries of anger from people who had been completely invisible. So here's the central puzzle we're going to unpack. How on earth did this one guy become a savior, a messiah of social justice for millions, and at the exact same time, a symbol of absolute corruption and chaos for millions of others? It's a fascinating question, and to answer it, we've got to go deep. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to look at the Bihar that created him, then his spectacular arrival on the scene, the bizarre contradictions of his time in power, the massive scandal that started his downfall, and finally, we'll try to figure out what his legacy really is. Okay, first things first. To get a handle on Lalu, you have to understand the place he came from. Bihar back then was like a pressure cooker, just waiting to explode. The anger, the inequality, it was all there. Lalu didn't create it, he just gave it a voice. So just imagine this for a second. On one side, you have the old Bihar. It's a completely feudal system. The upper castes control everything, the land, the jobs, the politics. The poor, the lower castes, they had no say. None. And then, on the other side, you have what Lalu promised, a complete, total flip of that pyramid. A voice, power, and maybe for the first time ever, a sense of dignity. And you can see his journey wasn't an accident. His political education was basically a baptism by fire during the huge JP movement. When he was arrested during the emergency, it wasn't a punishment. It was a promotion. It made him a hero. And get this, by 1977, he's just 29 years old and he's already a member of parliament. The guy was a rising star, no doubt about it. So he has all this momentum, right? Well, what happens next isn't just an election victory. It's a full-blown sociological earthquake. The old world was about to come crashing down. Let's zero in on 1 year, 1990. This is the moment. The Mandal Commission report is shaking up politics all over India. And right in the middle of it, Lalu Prasad Yadav becomes chief minister of Bihar. For the very first time, a man from a poor, rural, backward caste held the top job. For his supporters, this wasn't just politics. This was history bending in their direction. So what was his secret sauce? Well, his political style was just pure genius. He had this rustic, down-to-earth humor that people loved. He built an unbeatable political machine, the MY alliance of Muslims and Yadavs. And here's the crucial part. He sold them an idea that was more powerful than roads or electricity. He sold them dignity. And he used his wit to tear down the old elites, making them look ridiculous. Now, this is where the story gets really complicated. We're hitting the central paradox of his entire career. Because while he was being hailed as a political genius, a kingmaker in the nation's capital, a very different, much darker story was being told back home in Bihar, the story of Jungle Raj. I mean, look at this. It's like we're talking about two different people. As India's railway minister, he pulls off a so-called miracle, turns around the bankrupt railways, gets studied at Harvard Business School, a total reformer. But at the very same time, his government in Bihar is being accused of letting the state collapse into chaos and corruption. Two completely opposite legacies happening at the same time. So you hear this term all the time, Jungle Raj. What does it actually mean? Well, for his critics, it meant law and order had completely broken down, kidnapping was an industry, the administration was a ghost. But, and you have to understand this, for his millions of supporters, it meant the exact opposite. It was an era of freedom. The first time they weren't scared of their old feudal landlords. For them, Jungle Raj was just a smear campaign by the people who'd lost power. Every great rise has a great fall. And for Lalu, the beginning of the end came with a single massive scandal. The Fodder Scam wasn't just about money. It was the thing that exposed the deep rot inside his government and started his long, painful slide. So how did it even work? It was kind of breathtaking in its simplicity. For years, government officials just created fake bills for tons and tons of animal fodder that never existed. The money was paid out to fake companies, and then, poof, the cash was siphoned off and allegedly spread all the way to the top. It was basically a grand heist of the state's treasury. And the fallout was just seismic. The CBI gets called in. Lalu was about to be arrested, so what does he do? In 1997, he resigns, and, in a move that shocked everyone, he makes his wife, Rabri Devi, who had zero political experience, the chief minister. That kicked off a legal battle that would go on for decades, ending with his conviction in 2013 and getting him banned from ever running for office again. So after all of that, the incredible rise, the strange peak, and the spectacular fall, what are we left with? What does it all add up to? Let's try and give a final, balanced assessment of this incredibly complicated figure. You really have to see his legacy as two sides of the same coin, because both are true. On one hand, the man was a revolutionary, a champion of social justice who smashed the old feudal order, gave a voice to millions, and was a rock-solid secular leader. But you can't ignore the other side. The weak governance, the massive corruption scandals, the family dynasty, and the years of economic stagnation that held his state back. And of course, the story doesn't just end with him. He's passed the torch to his son, Lalu Yadav. The dynasty lives on. But it leaves this huge, hanging question. Can that raw, magnetic, once-in-a-generation charisma that defined Lalu, can something like that really be inherited? In the end, maybe the story of Lalu Prasad Yadav teaches us something pretty profound about power itself. Leaders rise by giving people something they've never, ever had before. In his case, dignity. But they fall when they can't give those same people what they demand next. In Bihar's case, it was jobs, development, a better future. And you have to wonder, isn't that really the story of every democracy?